Let's get it. I'll get back. Yeah.
Actually like a struggle. An ideal day, you see what's around or the enemy. So just try to work on it.
Welcome to the channel, guys. First ever long form video. Today I'm going to be taking you through a day in the life of an online fitness coach and natural bodybuilder. I tried to do something cinematic for the intro. Let me know if that was boring or not. Yeah, it takes a lot of time setting up the camera and moving it around. I'll be playing around with like the video style. Obviously I'm going to do like a load of talking, but I want to try and make the videos like high quality, so I want some like cinematic aspects in there. But over time, you know, I'll refine the video style so I can get videos out regularly, whilst also keeping them like to a good standard. I don't want these to just be like low effort. I want it to be a good reflection of like how invested I am into this. I'm going to try and make this as unfiltered and raw as possible, so really showing the highs and lows of the next 19 weeks, give you a bit of insight into like where my headspace is at, what needs work, what's going well. First thing I've just shown you is my morning routine, from getting up to checking my blood glucose, taking my body temperature, take my blood pressure. I do that 3 times a week. Once I'm out of bed and checked all my health markers, I'll respond to clients and I'll jump on the scale, see where my morning weights are, quickly get showered, and then straight into planks and vacuums. I do those every single day, right? So vacuums, I am doing 5 rounds for a bare minimum of 20 seconds. I'll do like 3 warm-ups beforehand because I can't hit 20 seconds right off the bat. So it'll be like 10 seconds, then 15. Then once I get to 20, I start the rounds from there. Then after that, it's a minute and a half of planks. And I'm doing that every single day, which helps greatly with your core control. I've naturally got quite a wide waist, and in bodybuilding, the proportions that you're looking for are wide shoulders, narrow waist. I don't have either of those, so I've got to do a little bit extra to try and help improve the look. If you want to keep your waist looking as tight as possible, then practice your vacuums, practice your planks, because that's going to help with this, and that's something that I'm going to be doing. I'll quickly cover who I am and what I do so that you know kind of like where the direction of this channel is going to be going for the next 19 weeks. So my name's Josh, also known as Immerse Fitness on social media. I'm a 26-year-old online coach / PT, as well as a natural first-timer bodybuilder. I set this channel up 3 years ago, and I've been meaning to do long form content for the longest time, but I've just been putting it off for ages, and now there's not really going to be any kind of unique situation that I'm in quite like this, because I am all in on this, right? I left my job last January to become and go full-time as an online coach. I'm still trying to grow my business. I'm trying to get it so that it's in like a sustainable point, because at the moment I also work part-time as a gym receptionist just to kind of fund everything that I'm doing at the moment. So I've got 6 months really to document up to the show, you know, my progress inside the gym, my progress as a self-employed person. And the whole reason I've decided to start now is because I want to document this for myself, but I also want to bring you along the journey. I want to hopefully show you what can be done in this time, okay? Because the idea is to flip my whole life around essentially in 6 months. The position that I'm in now, I do not want to settle, and I can't settle there. And I don't think there'll be any other better time where I'll be like more motivated, more disciplined than now to pick up the camera, start recording, start showing a little bit about myself. And if I want to get to where I want to be, I'm going to have to do some things out of the ordinary, like filming YouTube and hopefully educate and entertain you guys. The plan is weekly videos. I will try and do more than one video per week as I get more settled with the whole YouTube thing. I've only ever really recorded short form content, so this is a bit of a change for me. I'm just figuring out how to get everything to work and then streamline the process so I can get more regular videos out, which would be sick to look back on, just kind of seeing everything documented and how it snowballs, hopefully. This is going to be a bit of a longer one today. Like I said, it's a day in the life, so I'm going to try and include some cinematic stuff. I'm going to try and include some educational stuff. I'm also just going to try and include some general kind of like down-to-earth talking stuff so that it doesn't feel like a robot talking you. The more that I talk in front of the camera, right, this video is like 10 minutes in already because I keep stumbling over my fucking words. I keep messing up what I'm going to say. But as it goes on more and more, the more relaxed I start to become. And like, I think that'll probably show, you know, just from like my tone and body language alone. I've got some stuff wrote down here because even at the moment I'm having to make like points so that I don't lose my train of thought or like go off on some like massive tangent, doing that currently. It'll be pretty cool if in like 6 months time, a lot does change, you know, from expanding my coaching business to potentially getting a clothing sponsor, a supplement sponsor. That's like the long-term goal, because pretty much all I do and care about is going to the gym, right? It's the only thing that I'm actually good at. So if I can make a career out of it, then great, you know? What could be better than doing what you love for work? But what are my show plans, okay? The plan is to potentially do 3 shows in the 2026 season. I've got one booked already that is a definite. That is the one that I'm currently 19 weeks out from. Then I've got a second one lined up that I don't know what category to enter at the moment. I was whether to do bodybuilding or classic. I think I might book that one slightly nearer at a time, seeing how my body shapes up and kind of deciding which one I think I would fit better into. That one will be at the end of June, so 3 weeks after the first show. And then there's also a third one that I'm potentially going to do, which is the week after the second one. And that would be in bodybuilding as well. I still need to register for those last 2. So in the ideal scenario, I will end up doing 3 shows. So a very good kind of like run for my first competitive season and see how I get on. I've got high expectations for myself. I know that I'm putting the work in, day out. There's not really much more I can do from that other than sticking to my diet, training hard and practicing my posing. Outside of that, it's out of my control. So it's not even worth thinking about. But know what I'm capable of. My expectations are I would like to get at least 1 class win and potentially an overall. That would be the goal. If I can get at least 1 of those, that'd be sick. I'll be fucking over the moon with that. I'll put up some shots now of where I'm currently at the beginning of this like YouTube kind of documentation of the road to show. And I'll also do a separate video on the start of prep, which was 42 weeks out leading up to now, okay? Where essentially at the beginning of the 42 weeks, I was at the end of the cut. I then did a bit of a push-up phase until the end of the year, so from August until first week of January, and now I'm back into like the first week or 2 of the cutting phase. So that's the introduction to the channel. I hope that you stay along for the ride. Now I'm going to go get some stuff prepared before I go and train.
You know what? You're going to be in the gym, so I had 600 grams of carbs last night.
Okay, intra-workout hydration being prepared now ahead of today's leg session. Got 1 serving of EAAs, which is 11.5 grams, slightly over, but oh well. Then we've got 10 grams of glutamine going in. If I can find the fucking scoop. And more of those. creatine going in. Also, so I drink this halfway through my session, and essentially all three components of this are going to help with kickstarting muscle protein synthesis, which is essential, help with recovery and performance. So in terms of importance, I would say everyone should have creatine, then amino acids, essential amino acids, because there's two, there's essential amino acids and branched chain. You do not need branched chain, only the essential ones if you were going to pick between the two. But yeah, essential amino acids and glutamine are like optional. I've never really used them in the past, to be honest, but we're taking things a little bit more seriously now that we're on prep. With your intra-workout drinks, you want to just slam them when you drink them. So I'm not filling this up all the way because it's just a case of getting it down the hatch. Alright? Got fucking powder everywhere. One way you can make this better is by adding in some fast acting carbs, cyclic dextrin or like maltodextrin, which is just going to give you a little bit of an energy boost in your session, especially if you've been doing a lot of demanding exercises towards the start of the session. That is just going to help to kind of give you that little bit of extra fuel to then push on and give very good effort right towards the back end of the session, okay? But priority at the moment with my food is going into pre and post, so I don't actually need them. Again, it's just a nice thing to have, especially if you're, you know, in a push-up phase and you've got the calories and macros and carbs available. But at this point, I'd rather just have the food, and it's not super necessary, so I'll just stick with these. I swear having a shave knocks about 5 kilos off your face. But anyways, morning work block done, meal one has been consumed, done some steps as well just to help that digest a little bit. Now it is time to go and train legs at the gym. It's a big quad focused session, so this is an intense one, but it's why we love it. I'm going to head off to the gym now. I'll record that and then I'll talk you through the session. Speak to you in a bit. Starting the session off with 15 minutes of brisk walking. Good way to get your heart rate up, good way to get your body temperature up, and it's just going to help with injury prevention. Also, if you've got a step target, then good way to get some boxed off nice and early on in the day. Now, going on to the first movement, lying leg curl. With this, you'll see I stop a little bit early, so I've got a little bit of bend still in my knee. So here, I'm trying to keep the hamstrings in active range. If I go any further, it's just going to take away from the work that I'm trying to do on my hamstrings. Cushion underneath my quads, it just helps to elevate your hips and keep you in more of a neutral position. Also from like a comfort perspective, just think what's around that area, and when you're pressing into the pad, it's not the most comfy, okay? With this, you can see I'm pulling myself down hard into the pad, trying to prevent excessive shifting throughout this, but a little bit at the pelvis is okay to get that hamstring fully shortened, and I can really contract it at the top when I do just move that tiny bit. I'm trying to like come forwards a little bit but not really elevate, okay? After the set, I then go into a rest pause, so little intensifier here. Finish the set off, take 10 to 15 seconds and go in, complete a few more reps, get a little bit more out of the movement. On to leg extensions, shaking like a shitting dog on this one, but here you can see through the setup I've got a resistance band around the seat to hold my hips down. I've then got straps on as well to pull myself into the handles without, you know, getting all fidgety and my hands coming off. Here I'm really trying to make the most out of both the bottom portion and the top. So here I take a little pause, no sudden change of direction out the hole, nice and controlled, and then when I'm up at the top, hold that squeeze for at least a second, okay? Hold that contraction and just make it hard, right? With this, I'm really just trying to focus on leg extension. Charlotte coming over there because she'd set off the alarm in the gym. But yeah, I'm trying to just focus on my knee extending here, rather than like my hips driving up, which is why I've got the resistance band there to hold me down, acting as like a seat belt. After the first set, what I do is I use a weight for the first set. I will then utilize that same way for the second set. I'm never going to get the same amount of reps, so here we do a 2-point kind of rest pause here as well, where same concept as the line hamstring curl. I'll take 10 to 15 seconds after the second set, go in, do another mini set of however many reps I can get, take another 10 to 15 seconds and go back in. So it's just a really good way to push the intensity and get you within a closer proximity of failure and milk a couple more reps out of the exercise. You know, on that first set I got 7, on the second set I got, I think it was like 6, and just by taking those pauses I was able to get an additional 4 reps. Towards the end I do shift a little bit, you know, I use a little bit of kind of momentum for the last portion of the movement, almost as like a self spot, just to get my quads fully shortened. Going into hack squat now, and knee sleeves. Knee sleeves for me are essential. Like I said, the gym is cold, so this just keeps my knee joints warm. It also just helps me go with like an extra sense of security, knowing that like they're wrapped up. I don't know what it is. It's like a mental kind of thing there, but definitely a worthwhile investment. I don't utilize them on all my lifts, but just kind of like these compound ones. Okay. With this, I'm doing a hack squat now, so I had previously been running a pendulum, but I was getting a little bit of lower back loading from this, so I've switched to a hack squat now. And you can see here, like there's a band on top, but it's not actually attached. This is because it takes away some of the tension at the bottom. A hack squat is designed to be heavy within the length and range, so I want it to be challenging now. I don't want to take anything away. I'm utilizing a lighter load and making a lighter weight feel heavy by taking longer with the eccentric. You can see here it's a like 3 to 4 seconds on the way down, a brief pause in the hole, and I'm not fully locking out my legs at the top. I'm keeping a little bit of knee bend in there to keep constant tension on the quad. Like this will have your quads absolutely firing. At this point though, I did fucking stupidly overshoot it, and that then took away from my next set. So I was chasing the logbook here, and I should have known better than to go for another rep, because that last one was already, like, it was clear that I was never going to get another rep. This is the second set. I kept the weight the same, so I'm assigned 8 to 11 here, and I got 8 on the last one. I pushed for that 9th, obviously failed, so I was thinking, right, I got 7 last week, let me at least try and hit 8. Because, this sounds like cope, but because of overshooting on that last rep, I think it then took away from this set. So everything's still really nice and controlled, you know, form is bang on here, intensity is bang on, but I then ended up dropping a rep on this compared to the previous week because of the fact that I pushed it so hard. So here, nothing's changed, okay, you can see, nice and controlled on the way down, but yeah, just, I hit the wall, and there, your mind is just wanting to do anything other than complete the rep with the form that you utilize in the first place, you know. So when I'm in the hole and that like panic sets in, I'm thinking, don't let your knees buckle, don't let your heels come up off the platform, okay? Just try and keep everything like intact and keep all that tension on the quads. Moving on to leg press now, I'm doing a warm-up set here. After pumping so much blood through my quads, I start off with half the weight, and I add a plate on and just do a rep each time. So I worked up to 300 here, and I'm not calling these warm-up sets, they're feeler sets, okay? So by having that extra resistance there, it just helps me improve my depth, because at the beginning I can't get my knees back that far, and I can't really get that deep into the press. As I add more weight on, it forces me back, and I get more comfortable with, you know, going through a great range of motion. On this, like I said, I'm working with 300 kilos here, and it's the exact same concept as the hack squat, where I'm not fully locking out my quads, my knees at the top, sorry. It's consistent reps, so I just want constant tension. I'm keeping everything like within like the active range that the quads are working. Nice and controlled on the way down, a brief pause at the bottom, no sudden change of direction out the hole, and push into absolute failure again. So I'm actually going to do this banded, which would make this a little bit more challenging at the top portion of the movement, but we don't have 2 bands that match, and I haven't ordered any yet, so having to do without. Second set here, and then this kind of shows you like how, well, this is probably a better view of like how it looks. So in terms of depth, right, my quads are coming up past my rib cage. Like my abdomen is now kind of like limiting me from going any further back. But I could alter my form to go further back, okay, but I would have to point my knees out, and by doing that, you're just taking away from keeping attention on your quads. It's then going to start moving towards like secondary muscles, like your adductors here, and transfer a lot over there, which I don't want to do. Same with like my foot position. If I got my feet lower, yes, I might be able to get a bit more knee flexion, but then my heels are going to start lifting off the platform, and although that's not necessarily too much of a bad thing, it's just more comfortable having them slightly higher up, and I can still get a great level of depth. Now, going into adductors, I have a bit of a bro science theory here, okay? So with this, say, I actually stop the reps a little bit shy of how far the machine can go back. So say I've set the machine to go back all the way here, and I'm stopping like here on my reps. That is because I feel like from, this portion here, so where I'm stopping versus where the machine is due to stop, by having it set further back, it's actually like pushing a little bit harder than it would if I'd set it earlier. Okay, that's my logic there. That's what I've tried, that's what I've tested, and that's what it feels like. With this as well, I will again just do some like feeler sets going into it to just help with my range of motion, because I haven't done any direct adductor work yet. So by putting a little bit of a heavier weight and just like letting it kind of push me out, I can get more comfortable the further out I go. I then forgot to put the weight back up to what my weight was last week. I was going to just go for some additional reps because I was at the slightly lower end of the rep range, and I ended up taking a 5 kilo progression. So although that's why I was saying before with like overshooting on the hack squat, because my quads were cooked, and then it took away from my secondary hack squat set, and then my 2 leg press sets, they were both down. Whereas then I came onto here and I managed to get a 5 kilo jump plus an additional rep, which 5 kilos from 45, that's like an additional 9% increase. That's a huge jump in lifting terms, all right? But in terms of form and what I'm like kind of cueing with that anyways, I'm cueing driving my heels down into like the foot support, and then I'm thinking of bringing my knees together rather than kind of like moving my legs, okay? Now, seated calf raise here, I see way too many people just loading a shit ton of plates onto this and just bouncing. Here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just make a lighter weight feel heavy. So I'm holding the contraction at the top for a good second. I'm controlling it slow as fuck on the way down, and I'm holding it in the stretch for a couple seconds as well. By walking around all day, your calves are so used to contracting, all right? There's not really an opportunity where they're consistently getting stretched. So the logic there being presenting with a different kind of stimulus. So focusing more on the stretch here and spending more time and exaggerating the amount of time in the stretch in comparison to kind of like how long I spend in the contraction. But again, train them like any other muscle group. Don't skip them over and train them with intensity, because it's a fucking stubborn muscle group to grow. Now finishing off with some post leg day physique updates. So this is how we're looking. Not able to fully contract the quads in these poses, obviously because they're pumped full of blood. But we can see the there's some details in my legs. So for 20 weeks out, this is a really good starting position to be in. Nice little teardrop or hamstring drop coming down there, cuts in the hamstrings, and my legs have came up a lot in the last couple of years or year and a half that I've been pushing up. So they've definitely started to catch up with my upper body, which is great to see. And I think my upper body comes in faster than my lower body, so give it a couple more kilos and yeah, we will start to see how crazy the lines and detail in the quads and the hamstrings are. But that is everything for the leg session. Hope you enjoyed. Post-workout meal has been dusted while I do some more work. I can't actually remember the last time I ate out of a bowl, but this probably gives a pretty good indicator of like where my food is at currently this far out from the show. But yeah, sat down, got back to some clients who had sent me messages while I was training. Started editing this YouTube video. I have a feeling that it's going to be a very long one to edit, but we shall see how that goes. And I've had some form videos come through now as well. I will get back to those, and I'll record that as well and just show you kind of like how a form analysis response goes. But I've got to go get a sports massage now. So lately I've been going twice a month and that is really just for like injury prevention. Okay, I want to keep my body in the healthiest position possible, because the last thing I want is to have to be taking time off of training due to some stupid like injury that could have been easily avoided. So it's more kind of just like maintenance rather than like correction. And I think if you've never had a sports massage before, it's definitely like a worthwhile investment. At least going like once a month just to kind of like keep you ticking over, to be honest. In the past, I've only ever got them when the injury's been like a problem, and at that point I've had to get multiple massages and take time off of training. Whereas now I'm just trying to stay on top of it. In the past, I've been quite susceptible to upper back injuries, and I think that's just because of like sitting at a desk, being hunched over, not realizing that you're kind of like tensing up there, and it just gets knotted. And eventually, like something will happen, I'll overstretch, and you know it just goes. It's right around my like shoulder area, and when it goes off all the way up into my neck, and I have to move as if I've got like a neck brace on. Like this whole area remains rigid, especially when I go to sleep. You've been lying down in one position, like it stiffens up overnight, and it just makes it way more uncomfortable, and it starts to loosen off as the day goes on. But that's the only one I've had, like touch wood. I don't really get any other injuries other than this, but it is a little bit of like a recurring one. So anything I can do to, you know, mitigate that, I will do. So I'll finish off this editing and then we'll head off and go get a massage.
My average was 9:30s when it's normally 10:30s. So
Yeah, right there. There's a little bit in it.
I was supposed to run yesterday or today. I didn't do anything yesterday actually. Just fucking wiped out, but
Yeah.
I've realised why. Yeah, I ran out of coffee, didn't I? What do you call it?
Be informative, but I don't want it to be sorry about that. Like, hello, I got up this morning and I weighed my food and I had it at this time because I need at least 2 hours. Yeah. I was trying to show some fucking supplements that I have to make like my intra-workout drink, and even that just wasn't like fucking focusing on anything. So
No, I get, yeah. But then, but is it just like get you kind of your first video of, you know?
yeah, I just
like you say.
the first 10 are gonna be pretty shit, but it's just about keep on doing it and you'll get better with each one. You know those DJI like gimbal fucking.
Yeah, everyone's using it.
Because they're super convenient, so it's like, well, I'll just make mine a little bit more cinematic.
Yeah.
I'll like fucking add a little bit. What's the word? Pajazzle.
Vajazzle?
Is it pajazzle?
Vajazzle.
Oh, is it vajazzle?
No, that's a vaginal. Because it's like.
Put a bit of fucking magic on it as well, man. Not fucking vajazzle.
Years ago.
Alright, hit the stop on the camera. It's okay if you get a bit of grease on it.
Where is
the red
it?
button on the top. Jack, how's it going, mate? I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for sending over these form videos. First thing I'm going to say is camera angle, okay? So clear line of sight when we are recording these videos. If you just angled it up a little bit and just cut off your feet, I'll be able to see kind of like everything I need to see, right? Just remember what I said, we don't need to be going back as far as we need to if it's at the expense of the arm path. We want it just so that the elbows are driving straight back and almost finishing it like a 90-degree kind of like angle, maybe a little bit beyond where I've positioned it here. You can use a little bit of arch in your upper back, right? Where your solar plexus is still resting against the pad, however, your upper back is slightly curving, okay, just to allow you to squeeze everything that little bit better, or as if there's a pencil between your shoulder blades, alright? But intensity is there. Little percentile changes that we're making in, you know, relation to form, but for the most part, it is like 85% there, okay? So some tweaks that we need to make. High pull down machine. Instead of angling your torso off to the side, you see how my arm is kind of matching the way that you're like positioned at the moment. I just want you to, instead of sitting in the center of the seat, just move yourself slightly off kilt. Be set up so that your arm and your arm path is in line with the direction of the machine. So if the machine moves from this point here up top and finishes here, okay, we see that it's in a straight line. Whereas at the moment, because of how we are, we're almost out to the side and then pulling back in. Going straight into your working set on the other side after just finishing, you cannot recover in time if you're just going straight from one to the other. The amount of effort that you're going to be able to exert, the level of intensity that you're going to be able to go through, it's going to be slightly diminished because you haven't allowed yourself to have that breather. Yes, unilateral work does take a little bit longer, but it allows a little bit more accuracy and precision when we are performing these movements, okay? Almost so that there's a little bit of friction as your bicep comes level with your chest, okay? That is how close we're doing it. Remember, the direction of the elbow, we don't want it flared out. We want it pointing towards the floor, and we're imagining that we are driving it down towards our pocket. As you're driving this back, there is a little bit more to give on this, where you can just drive your elbow that little bit further back to actually get the lat fully contracted. One thing I want you to do as well is, at the moment, as you pull down, you see how your whole body is pulling down as well. We want to keep that spine neutral and chest tall, and this is like a good start and finish point to have, because it'll allow us to standardize our reps. If we are just using the same kind of tool and marking point every single time, you can allow it to pronate slightly in this instance, where, you know, instead of rising up to get a bit more range, we just allow the shoulder to relax to stretch the lat a little bit more. Pull-ups. Using the higher bar, which is good, like I said previously, you're too tall to be on some of these like lower hanging bars. The control as ever with this is brilliant, mate. See this degree of elbow bend, and I think part of it is almost because of your grip with this. So bring your hands in a little bit more narrow to allow your arm to fully extend. A good set, but again, these are just the points, mate, that like a lot of these points I made on the last form video, so make notes, okay? I want you to write these things down so that you can go into your session, and this is part of what having a logbook is for. What targets you need to beat this time round, and then also the little form corrections as well, okay? So you can add comments in the logbook that we've got in the sheet, or if you use that app as well, then write some notes in there, okay? So that's everything for today's form video. Please send over some from your leg session. I really want to review your leg training because it's one that I haven't seen in a while. So if you've got legs tonight, please send those over and we will do another one of these ASAP, okay?
Wind down time. It has been a busy fucking day. Check-ins, form analysis, training, steps, get back, form analysis, meal prep, shower, film more YouTube. But you know what it is? It's nice being busy. This is all I've wanted since I've been since I started off as being self-employed. You look forward to the times where you actually do then start to get busy with work, with like stuff that you're passionate about, so it's nice. So it might sound like I'm complaining, but yeah, it's just because I'm a little bit fucking exhausted now. My legs are fucking aching. Quads, actually, just quads are aching after that fucking quad focus leg day, which is a good sign that I did some damage, you know. Looking at the fucking training videos, yeah, the intensity was there. But one thing that I'm having to get used to is the meal prep side of things. So I've always cooked, you know, for myself mainly. The last meal of the day was the only one that was prepared. I still live at home, and that was kind of like a family meal thing. So it's just getting used to like not having that flexibility with food, where, you know, if I fancy something different, I would just go and grab, like, say if I ran out of one thing, I could just go grab something else. It wouldn't really matter, just straight up swap. Not to say that I couldn't ask whether I could do that, you know, like macro match and just pick appropriate food swaps, but part of this is like I want to prove to my coach as well that like I can just follow a plan. Being a good bodybuilder doesn't just mean, you know, being good at training. It's about your adherence, it's about your consistency, it's about the amount of effort that you actually put in all this stuff. So this prep is kind of just like personal development as well as, you know, physique development. Working on just improving in all kind of aspects. So I don't know about other people, but whenever I go on like a cut and I'm like, the goal is so clear, nothing will ever distract me from that, and I get so hyper focused on it, I generally feel like I could do anything. Like last year when I did my last one, I could just picture everything that I wanted to do, and it's weird because then once I kind of get out of like that phase of like working towards something, the vision it's not as clear anymore, and like I know the feeling of what I was working towards, but it's hard to recreate that level of like motivation and drive to actually like get there. So that's actually one of the things that I'm looking forward to, is like in the chaos of it all and feeling like shit, because ultimately like when you look your best and you get down to these disgustingly low levels of body fat, it's actually when you feel your worst. It's actually when your body is screaming for fucking help. But amongst that like fatigue, the long days, the pressure to do what you need to do, because the goal and the vision is so clear in your mind, you just power on through it. And there's never been like a level of like clarity and visualize it. I've never had that level of like visualization as I get when I'm in that state. So I'm looking forward to being in that state, and just, although you know it might seem counterproductive, that's when I'm actually at my best. So I'm looking forward to entering kind of like that fucking that like flow state again. It's getting on now, so I've got about 1,000 steps left that I need to do. Just had my last meal, so I'm gonna go upstairs, go on the treadmill, move a little bit, help that digest, and then we will get off to bed. It is another early start tomorrow. Posing rounds, check in, cardio, get my meals packed before I go to work on the desk to fund this dream that I'm working towards of, you know, being successfully self-employed. And success to me, it doesn't mean being like a fucking millionaire or anything kind of like extravagant. It just means like freedom. To me, it just means being able to make my own decisions, doing what I want when I want. And work should be something that revolves around your life, in my opinion. You know, having worked from the age of 18 to 25 in like a 9 to 5, and it was a good job. I got like a degree and stuff, but those years to me, it feels like it was just wasted. Like, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, but I didn't even feel like I was living. I felt like I was existing. To me, there's a difference between the two. Like, living is like enjoying the experience. Existing is simply just being there. In that time, I feel like I've lost like 7 years of my life, which is why doing this now, yeah, I'm not in a position that like I want to be, but it already feels so much more rewarding, and I'm way happier doing this, even with fucking, you know, barely any income right now. So step 1 is getting your mind right. Step 2, get the money right. After that, we're flying. So, you know, that's why this prep is bigger than just like a bodybuilding show. It's because I'm trying to turn my life around alongside it. There's a lot to me that's riding on it. And that's why you've got to give it like everything. That's why I've got to give it everything. And truly go all in, because people talk about like locked in, monk mode, this and that, but how many times can you actually say that you gave everything, like really gave it everything? There's nothing more that you could have done. And if at the end of this, you know, nothing changes, but I gave it everything, like I can live with that, because I know I couldn't have done any more. And to me, that's not a failure. Like, I'd much rather like have a go and fail at something than come back to like look back on it in 10 years and be like, what if? It's more embarrassing not to try than to fucking fail in front of people. And you know, to be honest, I think I look probably fucking quite stupid and crazy to a lot of my friends. Probably thinking like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is he doing? Like trying to do like YouTube at fucking 26. Like, why is he still living at home? Like, he needs to focus on like getting a job, doing this, doing that. But when it felt like for 7 years, my head was just fucking in jail. Right? I remember I was in one job straight out of school for like 5 years. And then I went to another place because basically I got fucking shafted on promotion a couple of times. And it was like doing the exact same thing. And I remember on the very first day that I was going there, I was going up the escalators at St. James's. type us in on YouTube. It's called The Rat Race, and it's basically like a cartoon sketch of like these rats who live this human existence, stuck in like the typical like 9 to 5 trap of wake up, go to work, come back, repeat, rinse and repeat, right? So in that case, it's like living to work rather than working to live. And literally I felt like I was going up the escalators and I felt like I was in that fucking video. And right there and then on my first day I was like, nah, like this can't be it. This can't be it. Which is why, you know, the gym at that time, and for like so many of those years, you know, I found the gym in 2020, COVID 2020. That's why it's been like so important. That's why I've been able to just kind of like crack on, because the only thing I had to look forward to every single day was the gym. Like, you go to work, you have a shit day, you get grilled, fucking, or in my case, like, you just get fucking ignored. People act like you don't fucking exist. And no matter how bad of a day you've had, at least, you know, you can go to the gym afterwards and turn that fucking shitty day into like a productive. You can flip it on its head. And I think a lot of that has also like taught me how to, you know, control my emotions, control my feelings, and be able to kind of turn negative stuff into a positive. Because when you feel like that on a day-to-day basis, you kind of become a little bit like cold to everything else, to be honest, in the sense that nothing really much like bothers you. Like, I don't really let things upset me. I try not to get like overly happy. It's more just kind of like a constant state of okay. And it's been way more peaceful living like that than constantly trying to like think like, why am I not happy? Why am I not this? Why am I not that? Sometimes it's okay just to be okay, you know? Life runs with Josh. Anyways, this has been like 10 minutes of me just fucking waffling on. So, check the meal prep. Yeah, there we go. So, here's what I've just cooked. 1.6 kilos of chicken and 2 kilos of red potatoes. I don't know the fucking difference between red and regular potatoes. I would guess that there's some kind of like nutritional benefit to having those over regular ones, but like I said, I don't even want to fucking ask questions at this point in like a prep. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? It's almost kind of like a soldier mentality, reporting into like his fucking sergeant or whatever. Tell me where to go, I'll go there, no questions asked. That's kind of like how I'm thinking at the moment. Get on, get your head down, and get on with the fucking work. And the results will speak for themselves. Right, let's go upstairs and finish off these steps anyways. Oh fuck. We are at the end of the video, so thank you to all of you who've gotten this far. One thing I ask is, give me a little bit of time, yeah, with these videos. I'm still trying to fucking figure out how to do them all. The only way to get good really is to practice, right? So I think first 10 videos, you know, they're probably going to be questionable, but we'll get better. It's just about fucking each one, slight improvements. I'll be happy with that. And the main thing is just getting them out at this point, yeah, because I said I was going to start doing this in 2023. That's when I set the channel up, and it's taken fucking 3 years, so the main thing is actually just fucking recording them and just getting them out now. So apologies if I sound like a bit of a robot. I don't know what it is. Whenever the fucking camera comes on, it just makes you start acting different. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to pretend like, I'm trying to change my mind frame as if like I'm speaking to my friend right now. So hopefully it's not coming across too ChatGPT-ish, but again, it'll just get better with time. So to let me know that you've watched the full video, comment robot. That'll be a good little test to see who's actually watched the full fucking thing. But yeah, that is a day in the life with me. Hopefully that gave you a bit of insight into, you know, what a upcoming online coach gets up to in his day. Upcoming online coach slash bodybuilder, natty bodybuilder, natty amateur bodybuilder. Just keep adding words to that. I've got quite a few things in mind that I want to cover, that I want to film, but I'm always happy to try and make video ideas around other people's suggestions as well. So if there's anything that you want to see, be sure to comment down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon, hopefully. Catch you later.